Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome to Quick Fixes, and on today's video I'll show you how to configure Redux in an Expo React Native app. So first thing first, create an Expo React Native app. I assume you already know how to do that. Now the next thing is we'll just start configuring the Redux. So as you can see here, this is my package.json file. I have Redux Thunk version 3.1.0. I have Redux 5.0.1. I have React Redux 9.11, and I'm on Expo 50. So guys, what you want to do now, guys, just first install these three packages: React Redux, and Redux Thunk. You can install whatever version that is okay with you. So just go on into your root directory and type in the command npm install, then the name of these packages. You can install one by one, and when you're done we could just continue. So just install the packages, guys: React Redux, and Redux Thunk by entering the command npm install React Redux or Redux Thunk. So once that is done, we can go to the entry point of our app, which is the app.js. I have the app.js here, as you can see. So the first thing, I'm just gonna get rid of these. I'll just get rid of these, and the first thing I want to do is pass the provider component, the provider from React Redux provider. No, exactly, it's provider. Sorry, provider. So I'll pass in the provider from React Redux, and it's somehow not imported, so just import it. Provider from React Redux, and inside the provider we'll pass a store prop. A store, this is basically the reference of our Redux store, the Redux store that we're creating. So we'll have to reference it here, and we'll just name it store. Then here inside the provider we'll pass a component that has to be called, like the root component of your app, that has to be loaded first. So we could just name this as main, but we don't have a main component, so we could just create one. Just create a main component. This is basically the entry point of your app now, main.js. We'll just put some boilerplate code. Let's say main component. We'll just make this the main component. So once the app is loaded, the main component will be displayed. So we'll just import the main component now. Import main from main. Now we have a provider that excuse me, we have a provider that wraps the main component. Now what's next is just we've passed the store, but the store itself isn't created, isn't declared anywhere. So the next step to do is just declaring our store. So I have a template code here that I'll just copy and paste it here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. I think that is fine. So what we've done here is basically we've just created a store that we previously referenced here. So we've created a store by passing in the root reducer and applying the apply middleware method from redux thunk. Now as you can see here, we've passed the thunk middleware, but we've not created one, so we'll just create it by copying this code right here. So I'll just paste it here, and that's it. We've just created the thunk middleware that is then used on the store. So basically this is the first step of setting up, and it's done. What is next is that we've passed in the reducer, but we've not created one. So basically this is the root reducer of your app. All reducers will be in the reducers that you've just passed here. So let's create this file, and we could name it whatever. Let's say we could just give it a store.js, and in here I'll just paste in this code. Yep, I'll just paste in this code, and from here now let's call it let's call it store. No, let's just leave it as index so we could not have conflicts in names. So basically what will happen here is that any reducer that you will create, any reducer file that you will create, you'll add it into the combine reducers method. And what this does is basically that it combines all reducers into one. So we have to like create our first reducer file. Let's just create a folder. Let's create a folder called src, and inside src our source, let's create another folder called reducers, and inside reducers let's create our first reducer. Let's call it app reducer.js. So we have our app reducer.js, and now let's go back to our store and pass in the app reducer here. So you just have to pass a key and a value. A key just like app, then you'll have to pass the value as the entire name of the reducer that you want to pass. We've said it's app reducer, and we could just import it, import app reducer. Also we have actually not exported it, so let's just create our app reducer code. I'll copy this one here. I've already created one, and paste it in. It's called app reducer. So app reducer, so this is basically our template app reducer, where in the initial state you could just put any state that you want to use. You could call it app info. Let's create a initial state called app info. Let's make it an object, app info. So this is the initial state, and it will be a reducer property, and you could manipulate it anyhow you want. So now that we have exported the app reducer, let's go back to our store and import the app reducer. You can see here now we have the app reducer. Now you remember on our app.js we passed the reducer, but we didn't specify where is it from. So as you can see here, when you hover over it, it shows any. It basically means that it doesn't know where this is from. So let's just import it from the store.js. So I'll just say import. We exported it as index, so export index from store.js. So to make this to make it as to make the reducer the name that was just passed into the create store method match with our exported reducer file, we could just call this index. Could just call it index so that it matches with the root reducer that we just created on the app reducer to the store.js file. So yep, now from there I think everything has been set, and what is left to do is just testing out if everything worked, and I hope it has. So just to wrap it up, we created a provider where we wrapped it around the main entry of our app. We passed in the store that we've just created using the create store method from the React Redux. In the create store method, we passed the index and apply middleware, where index is the root of our it's the main reducer, and we've passed the thank middleware into the apply middleware, where we created the thank middleware just right here. So from here, Redux is all set, and just like that, guys, we are done. We've just set up Redux in Expo React Native App, and it's just by such simple steps. So I hope everything works out on your side, and I will just leave the entire code of all these files that we've just created down in the descriptions below. So it was pretty simple, as you've seen. So if this video was somehow helpful to you, please just leave a like, a comment, and the subscribe won't be that bad. So thank you. Until next time, this is Patrick. Ciao.